On Joy News Agenda today, we take a trip to the Asing Asamankese Ahmadiyya Primary School in the Central Region, where pupils study in dilapidated structures. Studies also come to a halt anytime it rains or when there's some unbearable heat. Correspondent Richard Kojonyaku has the rest of the story.
I'm fine. What is your name?
It's a bright new day. The sun is up.
What is your name?
Pupils of Asing Asamankese Ahmadiyya Primary are in the classroom learning, where their learning gives them headaches each time it rains and when the sun shines.
Yes. And somebody is sleeping. Good. Who again?
Old aluminium roofing sheets have been put together into a structure to serve as a classroom for these pupils. The other structure that stands adjacent to this aluminium structure is almost falling apart and shows signs of collapsing anytime soon. The school pupils innocently sit in the classroom to receive knowledge. The unpainted structure with its uncemented floors has to be vacated each time it rains and the sun emits unbearable heat. Unfortunately, teachers in the classroom have to make do with this structure fear to speak on camera for fear of being victimized. But the community members are worried about the welfare of their kids.
When it rains, it worries the children. Teaching and learning has to be halted. The other time, when it rained and when I even went there, the water was at my knee level. The children have to cleave to the walls each time it rains. The Class 1 classroom hasn't been cemented. Sometimes, ants and other insects disturb the children. Apart from the dusty environment, the office has the same problem. We, the sellers, even get afraid when it rains. We are appealing for help for these kids.
School say several complaints have been made to education authorities in the district, but nothing has been done about the structure. For now, each passing day in the life of each school pupil and a teacher in the school who brings up the challenge to continue staying in such a structure has a dire consequence on their very lives. They keep hoping that the structure won't collapse on the kids and themselves one day for a huge calamity to be registered.
The children are obviously excited. They do not know what's happening around them. But this obviously is not good enough for a 21st century Ghana for children to be accommodated in a structure like this.
Richard Kojonyaku, Asing Asamankese for Joy News.
On agriculture, government has been advised to consider the use of natural control methods such as digging trenches around farms and the introduction of natural predators like birds and planting of mixed varieties to deal with the outbreak of fall armyworm infestation in the country. The use of biological methods, according to some experts who are gathered in Accra to discuss the way forward, is more effective to deal with the spread of the fall armyworm outbreak. Matilda Pomaga has details in the following report.
An estimated 20,000 hectares of farmlands have been infected, up from about 1,400 hectares as at April this year. Farmers have made huge losses as a result of this. To contain the outbreak, government introduced agrochemicals to help fight the threatening armyworm invasion. But a team of experts who are in Accra to discuss the way forward on the outbreak say the use of chemicals is not the way to go. Director of Flour Production and Protection Division of the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, Hans Dreyer, says government must adopt natural control methods.
But the use of pesticide in an integrated approach is the last resort option. So we may not exclude it, but it's not the first choice. Because if we use it too early, we are getting into difficult problems. We have financial aspects because these products are not cheap. You have to use them properly, and we have to be aware of the environmental risks and also the risk for humans if we consume the products. For example, if we use pesticides too late, and depending on the chemical that you use, you may have residues in the grains, in the maize grain. So there is also risk of for the people who eat the maize, that they eat residues of the chemicals, and depending on the chemicals, this is can be a threat to human health.
The agrochemicals are being distributed free of charge as government is treating the invasion as an emergency and a disaster issue. An entomologist with the Plants Protection and Regulatory Services Department of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Hannah Sewanwama, says it is untrue that the chemicals are not effective enough. She, however, conceded that the use of chemicals should be the last resort.
Chemicals shouldn't be our first option because
we look giving these to the farmers.
Yes, you see, in management of a pest, we look at the IPM in whole as a package, and if you look at this, cultural practice should come, and then like the biological control we are elaborating on other measures, and then even the chemical should be like a last resort. But you see, this took us as a nation as unaware, and with biological control it is a long-term process. As they are discussing here, you need to, some documentation needs to go on, you need to do some background check to see that the bioagent that you are bringing in from the other country is not going to be a problem. So you need to screen it. It takes some time. When it comes, you need to rear it for it to multiply. But the issue is farmers don't have the patience. That is one thing too. It's about we are going to consider biological control.
Sharing of knowledge and offering technical support to Ghana and 47 other African countries battling the outbreak is the focus of the 3-day meeting.
So what we want to do is to facilitate and to make this task force more effective. And this is what we are going to do anyway in the other 47 countries in Africa. Then secondly, we are putting in place from now going forward extension materials that will allow farmers to know, to identify, and also look at management and control of this pest armyworm.
Recommendations from the meeting will be tested and adapted to local conditions across Africa via the Farmers' Field Schools and other forms of adaptive research. Matilda Pumaga, Fujura News, Accra.
Meanwhile, female cocoa farmers in Akpafu, a cocoa growing hub in the Hohoe municipality of the Volta region, have appealed to government to put in concerted efforts to make farm inputs more available to farmers all year round. According to them, there has been perennial shortages of farm inputs in their areas of production due to the huge number of residents who engage in cocoa farming. They further appealed to government to make special provisions for female farmers in accessing their farm inputs. Joy News Volta regional correspondent Fred Kwame has more in the following report.
40-year-old Janet Adade is one of the numerous women who have abandoned their trades to engage in cocoa farming. Just like the others in this area, Janet Adade does virtually everything on her farm, which she started on a small scale and has gradually been expanding season after season. Madame Adade lamented accessing farm inputs has been a great challenge because a small quantity of the inputs are made available for distribution to the many cocoa farmers in her area. She pleaded with government to increase the quantity of farm inputs, requesting special provisions for women during distribution.
The Cocoa Board has been giving us inputs, but I think if the government can increase it, even if they will sell it, we should get the number that we are supposed to use in our farms. And the cocoa seedlings too, if they will continue to do it, maybe I would like the government to increase it, because last year and this year, for instance, in our community, we have farmers and they couldn't get seedlings. We have to travel to another place to get seedlings. So if they can be increasing, especially our place, if they can increase it, I would like it. And the inputs too, they should try and see to it that the women especially, they serve the women, because we are facing challenges. They should help the women.
She also, on behalf of other colleagues, pleaded to benevolent bodies to provide them with processing machines and training to enable them process the cocoa beans into finished products.
If an NGO will come to help us, give us machine, maybe we can start processing something. We have a women group, Kayo Women Cocoa Farmers in Akpafo-Odomi here, and we are a group of 30 women, young women. And after the season, maybe we are in the house and we can process something. So if an NGO, the government, whoever wants to come and help us, give us machines, set up a small something for us so that we can process something. They should train us so that we can do it. We can do it. We want to do something because the cocoa that is coming from here, we have a lot of cocoa here. And we can do that.
Madam Adade also advised other females not to see farming as a male-dominated occupation, but identify it as a lucrative venture and get involved. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
And away from agriculture, the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson, has called on government to ensure the establishment of the Office of Special Prosecutor has enough power to bring anyone who falls foul of the law to book, regardless of their influence in society. President Nana Akufo-Addo made the promise to set up the office in the run-up to the 2016 election to primarily check corruption. Speaking at the launch of the African Center on Law and Ethics, Ambassador Jackson revealed the embassy had provided support to the Attorney General's Department in the form of sponsoring state attorneys to study how similar offices of special prosecutors operate in the United States. There's more in this report by Joseph Akable.
The center is to provide an intellectual base for discourse on the importance of law and ethics. Students of law and practitioners alike will receive training aimed at ensuring that the best standards of legal profession is upheld. Delivering the opening address, former Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Wood underscored the need for high ethical standards in the legal profession.
It is a partnership also between Ghana and the United States in many respects. It is a partnership with people and by people from different parts of the world with different perspectives, but all united in the belief that law and ethics deserve a platform to fully develop a healthy and robust agenda to ensure that these two elements, law and ethics, take their proper seat at the table of any conversation, particularly conversations regarding our national growth and development.
Fighting corruption through the legal system has often been touted as a sure way of ending the menace. With plans for an Office of Special Prosecutor already in motion, U.S. Ambassador to Ghana Robert Jackson urged government to ensure independence of the office.
In the next few weeks, perhaps days, Parliament is set to debate a bill being crafted by the Office of the Attorney General that will create an Office of the Special Prosecutor, focusing on corruption-related crimes. The embassy is sponsoring a handful of attorneys from the Attorney General's office to travel to New York and to Washington so that they can study special prosecutor offices in the United States and incorporate best practices here in Ghana. My hope is that once established, the special prosecutor might be granted the freedom and latitude to prosecute cases independent of political and social influence. My hope is that no one, including not one of the judges implicated by ANAS, would be too powerful or influential to escape the special prosecutor's scrutiny.
The center's training program commenced on Tuesday, July 18.
We go, part of Parliament's Job 600 office block was gutted by the close of the working hours of Tuesday, and the smoke was seen billowing from the 10th floor of the building, which mainly serves as offices for parliamentarians. The majority leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, who spoke to the media, said the fire personnel were working to salvage the situation at the time.
We needed to step out because smoke was belching in the middle ranks of the tower block. So we all had to scamper out, and then we hurried downstairs. Fortunately, we were able to use the lifts, and it told that it wasn't, a dire situation. And getting down and looking up, we saw that smoke indeed was coming out of the 10th floor, the east wing. The fire officers who were around rushed the scene, and they are still there. I think the unfortunate development, another unfortunate development was that the fire tenders, which first came in, could not assess the place because the tube here, when they had to drive under it, it became difficult because of the gadgets on top of the fire tenders. So the first one that endeavored to do it had some damage on the vehicle. And so we had to advise the rest of them to use the back gate, which they've now done. So they're using the space behind the Job 600 complex to assess where the fire is coming from. In the meantime, the officers are up there and they are working assiduously to avert any unfortunate situation.
We learned that the main gate to the Parliament House was locked up at the time the fire service tried accessing the place, so they had to go back.
Normally at 6 o'clock, for security reasons, at 6 o'clock, unless there is a particular function holding here, that main gate is closed between 5 and 6.
Then it means in case of emergency, you all have to use one gate.
There is this back gate, right? There's not just one gate leading to this place. There are 3 main gates. If you even have to access the Council of State ends, you may even have about 4 entrances to this place. Now, the back gate, which has not been put into proper use now, is what is supposed to be used for such purposes. But because we're not even, the fire tenders were not too sure of the fact that this gate had been opened, they all used the main entrance and then ran into this problem. As I said, one had that problem. The rest of them were then told to assess the facility using the back gate, which is what they used.
I will bring you the latest concerning that incident when we take our cameras to Parliament House this morning to find what really is happening. But we know that the fire incident happened and the fire has since been put out, and you can get interactive not only through our WhatsApp platform but also on Facebook as well. We're streaming live as well, Joy News on TV, and you can also give us a lot more of your comments on our Twitter handle at Joy News on TV, and my personal handle is Ro Walker Ghana on Twitter. As you do all that, please know that we'll bring you a lot more.